everyone, it's Renata from Pay or Wait, and today I'm going to be reviewing Big Little Lies Season 2, Episode 3, The End of the World, okay? And so, basically, let's get into this whole end of the world thing, because I don't know why we're teaching second graders about climate change. Like, I totally get it, but I just think that's a really heavy topic to tell them how, like, we're destroying the world, because it's not, I mean, you know what, they could make a change about it, but it's really up to us adults, because we the ones who helping, like, destroy the planet right now. But I just felt like it was a little bit heavy as they're talking about sustainability, how they even related Charlotte's Pig to, like, talking. I was just like, you know, I didn't realize there was all these deep meanings in Charlotte's Web, especially when Iggy was like, you know what, lying is something that grown-ups do because they protect the ones that they love. And I was like, you were honest up to Iggy. I wouldn't call him Iggy, Ziggy, but I'm just like, it's not okay that grown-ups lie. That's not okay, because sometimes lying and you thinking you're protecting somebody, when they find out that you was lying about it, you end up hurting someone. And so as we segue into about lying, we see the episode opens up with Madeline and Ed. They are in couples therapy, so they're going to Celeste therapist, which I assume she probably like the only therapist around in this little area that they're in. And so I was just like, I don't know about child therapists, because I've been to therapy before and I've been to couples therapy before, and I don't remember the therapist being as shady boots as her therapist was. So she's basically, you know, asking Madeline, like, do you know why you cheated? And so, you know, he's like, yeah, like, why did you cheat? She was like, boo-boo, hold on, we're gonna get to your participation in this as well. And he was looking like, excuse me? And she was like, sir, like, either you're just the most accommodating person that I've ever met, or that you thinking that you're being accommodating to Madeline, you're really being actively disengaged from the relationship, which could have been a cause for Madeline to cheat on you. And I was like, message, tell her, okay? Because it's not just up to Madeline. You were just seeming like you was just okay, just here for the ride, just I didn't feel any excitement. I didn't feel any passion coming from you, Ed. And so I can see why Madeline would cheat on you. Hell, I'd probably cheat on you too. Not saying that it's right, but still, he had a part to play. And I was happy that the therapist like called him on his ish as well. I was like, thank you, therapist. You still shady, but thank you for saying that. So she gets on, like, you know, she was asking her questions like, I don't know how to do the math on that. She was like, but well, is it because you didn't go to college? And I was like, oh, so we just going for the jugular. And so she looking at Ed like, what all did she tell her? And she talks about how she had an issue with Abigail not going to college because she feels like she would be nothing if she doesn't, because she didn't go to college. And I was like, girl, you just gonna read her for her entire life. But then she takes it a step further. She was like, do you know why your first husband let you? I said, you know what, if it was me, I would have packed my stuff up. But I said, you know what, I didn't sign up for this because it feels like you're attacking me. And maybe this is a conversation that you and Madeline should have had on your own before we brought Ed into this. I just felt like it was a bit much, but maybe that's just me. But then she asks, what's her relationship like with her parents? You know, how was her parents' marriage? And she talks about how her parents were married for 40 years. And then she asks her, well, what do you talk to your parents still? And I was like, girl, I ain't heard you mention your parents not one time, so I don't think that she talks to them. But I was just like, this therapist, man, she like covered a lot of ground for us, all in like just with asking a couple of questions. And so we see that she has a conversation with Celeste where she talks about how she actually ended up walking in on her father having sex with another woman. And so he basically tells Madeline to leave and has this conversation with her, but like there's just some things that we don't tell other people in a marriage. And you know, she talks about how when Nathan left, it confirmed her worst fear is that marriage is not to be trusted. And so we see that Madeline does have issues with commitment, has issues even stemming from watching her parents' relationship, knowing that her father cheated on her mother, not knowing if her mother ever knew that he was cheating on her, but to see how that kind of had her re-examine her views on marriage and kind of how this cycle is repeating itself through her, and now through her second marriage with Ed, which has led her to cheat. And so we see that she sees Bonnie and Ed having a conversation with each other, and she was just like, oh, so you can't talk to me, but you could talk to Bonnie? And then I was like, hold on, Bonnie, I thought you weren't talking to nobody. Like, I thought you had issues and stuff. You weren't talking, you sit up here laughing, giggling. Don't you got your own husband to go talk to? I'm just saying what Madeline was saying when she was looking at them. She couldn't say it, but I just wanted to say it for her. And so when Bonnie leaves, she was just like, so what are we doing? And he's just like, having lunch. I'm about to get going myself. And so he basically tells her, like, he's going to be mad at her as long as it takes. He doesn't know how long that this is going to be. And so we see that she ends up having, I think I mixed up all my notes, y'all. She ends up having a breakdown at the assembly. So we see because Amabella, Renata's child, which we gonna get on, basically had an anxiety attack because of all this climate change talk. So they had to have an assembly because all the parents were complaining about it. And so he asked Madeline to come up, and she was like, why'd you pick me? He was like, because you're just the beacon of hope for the community. You know, Principal Warren can't stand her. And so she goes up there, and then she starts having a breakdown in front of everybody, talking about the rainbow connection, talking about how people lie, how it's doom and gloom, there's no happy endings. I was like, girl, what are you doing? Get off the stage. Don't do this to yourself. You're embarrassing yourself. And so she talks to her daughter, and I love how her and Abigail are just communicating better with each other, having better conversations. When her daughter's just like, I'm so sorry, like, do you hate me? She's like, it's not your fault. And I appreciate her for not trying to, like, go in on Abigail, because if you wouldn't have been cheating on your husband, she wouldn't have had nothing to tell your husband by mistake. So I was like, thank you, Madeline, for finally taking responsibility for your own actions. I appreciate the growth, okay? A little bit of growth, just like growth. So, and then also too, when Abigail kind of comforts her because she's heard what has happened. Everyone's talking about what has happened and how she doesn't know if he's going to leave or not. He hasn't moved his stuff out. But you know, she's hopeful, and Abigail tells her like, he's going to stay. And I was like, girl, I don't think so. Or I think he's going to get himself from somebody else before he decides to stay in this marriage. So let's talk about Bonnie. Because ain't nothing happened with Bonnie. She had this whole little thing last episode. We see her mother is still there, so Nathan didn't ask her to leave. And she's singing, it seems like they're cool. They start singing whatever song Bonnie's mama probably used to sing to her when she was little. And we see flashbacks of a younger version of Bonnie's mom and her when she was little. But like, I don't necessarily know what that means. We see that Bonnie's still processing everything that has happened. But it seems she's begun to learn how to snap out of it, how to at least paint a like happy picture for everyone else so they don't think there's something seriously wrong. But I would hate for them to really go into all of that development from last episode to then continue to come back and just not talk about Bonnie or how she's dealing with any of these situations like going forward for the rest of the season. So I hope that y'all was just like, Bonnie had a lot of shine last episode, we're gonna let her live for a moment, but I expect us to like talk a little bit more about her as the season continues to go on, or we're gonna have some problems, y'all. So we can talk about Renata, because Renata going through it, y'all. Renata going through it. So Amabella has an anxiety attack, and so the teacher goes to the hospital, and then Renata come in like, what did you do? And I'm like, ma'am, he trying to make sure your daughter's okay. You talking about, what did you do? Girl, stop it. So we see that they tell her she had an anxiety attack. She's going to need some therapy. Gordon comes in. She was like, don't talk to her. And then he was like, what? She's like, don't talk to her. You probably the reason why she in here. And then the doctor comes in, and he was just like, we need to get her transferred to Stanford. He was like, why? She's like, because it's Stanford. And I was like, Renata, can you just chill? The doctor's like, we about to discharge her anyway. And she was like, great. And then he was like, well, she's going to need some therapy. And she was like, therapy? And then, no, Gordon was like, therapy. She's like, shut up, probably because of you. And they start going at it. He's like, maybe the whole family needs therapy. And then Renata's like, nah. I was like, Renata, you bring me so much joy, but I really need you to chill out. So she ends up leaving with the daughter, still telling Gordon, don't talk to her. And so they hire a therapist who's dressed like Bo Peep. I was like, how much she charge? Because if that's all y'all gonna pay me some coin to just dress up like Bo Peep and listen to her, I would gladly be a therapist for you. So she dresses up like Bo Peep, and then she has Amabella go outside, and she talks to them and tells them basically she's stressed because she thinks the end of the world is coming because of climate change. Also too, she's stressed about her father possibly going to jail, and she thinks that something's wrong with Renata. And so, yeah, so I don't know how they're basically going to deal with that. But we see that Renata ends up going off on Principal Warren. Like, do you think it's okay to treat people like this because I'm bankrupt, because I have bankruptcy issues? I promise you, when I get rich again, I'm going to buy every child in here a polar bear, and then I'm going to squish you like a little bug. And I was like, Renata, why are you always going off on people? I just don't understand this. And then she looked at the other teacher crazy. She's like, I don't even have time to squish you. And I was just like, how about we not squish anyone, Renata? How about we just take a chill pill, calm down? They had Mr. Warren all up in his feelings because she was like, and I know you smoke. And then afterwards, he like, you know what? Yes, I do smoke, dealing with all these people. He's talking about the second grade mothers, how they just crazy, and just how she the Medusa of all the mothers, which I would have to agree. And then Madeline's probably like right under her. But he was like, I got a spot where I know we can go smoke. And she didn't stress him out so much. Him and the little fine little teacher. Hey, teacher, I wish I had a second grader so I could put them in school so I could come see you every day, boo. But it's okay. She had both of them stressed out, y'all. Just stressed the hell out. She going to yell at Gordon. Gordon's over here playing with his damn chains. I'm like, sir, shouldn't you be trying to figure out how not to go to jail? How to get our coins back? How to do something else more productive with life? Like, something. Anything. A little bit. So she's telling him, sell your toys, okay? We're going to throw her a birthday party. No expenses, will be spared because she's unhappy, and sell your crap. And he was just like, what is wrong with you? Like, you used to be like just high intensity when I first met you. I had to chip away from the little guardrails that you had placed up. But it happened. They came down. But over the past year, they've been up, and I don't understand what's wrong with you. And so she was just like, basically it was his fault. And so she just storms out. But I loved when Renata met Mary Louise when she went to Madeline's job, and then she introduced herself, and then she's like, I'm so sorry for your loss, and just like, And then when she leaves, and she's talking to Madeline, like, what the F is wrong with her? She's like, girl, I told you. It's just like, she's weird. I really want to see them interact more, because Renata don't care, okay? Don't care whatsoever. So I can't wait to see if her and Mary Louise get to have another interaction with one another. But we do kind of have to talk about Mary Louise, Jane, and Celeste. And I guess I can kind of start with Jane and then go into Mary Louise and end with Celeste. But we see that Mary Louise does come to talk to Jane. She wants to do a paternity test for Ziggy, which I was like, you know what? Like, you probably shouldn't have wanted to say anything to her about that. But I was like, yeah, I don't understand why we didn't get a paternity test. Not like we don't believe her, but just in case if anyone else tried to question it. But Mary Louise, she was just doing a bit much, y'all. Like, asking her, she asked her, could she have a relationship with Ziggy since that is, her grandchild? But then also, too, when she was, showing her pictures of Ziggy, and then she, popped up out of nowhere. But when she's asking her, did you do anything to, initiate, the sex between you two? You could have, he could have interpreted something wrong because him and Celeste had their own crazy thing going on. Just the fact that, you're trying to get in so you can have a relationship with your grandchild, but you still don't want to admit that your husband is, your son is a predator, and you're asking them, did she see good in him? Girl, he raped her. What are you talking about? Did she see good in him? No, she didn't see no damn good. Why are you doing this? And so, Meryl Streep does a very fantastic job, but she's so frustrating because it's just she wants to believe in her heart because she is mourning. She's mourning a child, but also, too, she's mourning, this representation of who she thought her child was. She thought of him as a good son, a good child, a good husband, a good father. And now she finds out he's a rapist, he's an adulterer, he has this whole other kid, all these crazy things. And so, when you're watching her react to this stuff and this disbelief, this denial that she can't admit that her son is a bad person, and it's just she starts to seem like she's starting off good, when even though she showed up unannounced when she's having this conversation with Jane, but it seems like they're getting along where she's showing him the pictures and she now believes her that is her grandchild. But then when she's basically shifts blame to the victim, which is Jane, I just thought that whole interaction was just so crazy. And even Jane looking at her girl, I know you his grandma, but you're doing too much right now. But Jane did have some good moments. Her and Corey, they're dating. They go on a date, and he's asking them, was it about the farm, what farm did it come from? And I was like, you know what, y'all? It seemed like he was a little cuckoo when he was asking those questions, but them farm raised fish, it ain't always good for you. Gotta be wild card, okay? Sometimes you gotta spend more to just live more, okay? Y'all bet that's still there, but still you gotta spend more to live more. Y'all know that was about right there. Yes. But he goes in for a kiss on one of their dates and she kind of backs up. And he just looking like, what just happened? Like, I'm so sorry. She's like, we just gotta take things slow. But I thought it was so cute when they went on another day and they're like dancing. He asked her for a hug. He was teaching Ziggy, even though I don't understand why Ziggy was even being involved in Corey right now, like why they met each other so soon. But he wanted to do the surfing lesson. So I'm happy that Jane is like trying to get her life back on track, trying to move forward. And that one scene when Mary Louise pops up on her out of nowhere to look at Ziggy, her hair was looking good. Like, not in any other scenes, but I was like, hey girl, like whatever they did to your hair in that scene, do that in everything, because it was looking real cute, girl. But we got to talk about Mary Louise. So Mary Louise, we already know that she went to see Jane her job and all of that. We talked about that. Even though she was telling her like someone could have drugged you, and I was like, girl, just shut up. Like, you be doing way too much for no reason. But she went to the police and she was like, now I know that you don't believe that my son just fell out of nowhere. Like, I know you know that that's not true. I know you can't tell me, but I think you understand that there's a little bit more. So I want to see like kind of this more involvement that she has, or then like how she's going to start talking to like Renata to ask, does she know what happened? Just kind of this whole way that Mary Louise is kind of going about things, snooping in Celeste's room, looking at all these pills. Like, girl, you got a nice little collection. And I was like, Mary Louise, if you don't snoop, at least like be quiet about it. You can't be telling her everything that you finding. So Celeste asks her basically, you know, you need to go find your own place, girl, because you didn't outstayed your welcome at this point. And Celeste is really having her own issues. So she's still struggling with, she's thinking about these happy times with Perry, that she feels dead, that she feels like she's not as good as the mama she was with Perry, how he made her a better mother to their kids, how she still has this attachment to him. And so when she's in this, when she's basically talking to her therapist, oh, like the therapist was on point this entire episode when she asked her, like, you know, she told her you shouldn't think about the good times. And then she was like, are you an addict? Like, do you miss the war with him? Like, and I saw the bruise on her arm like last week, and I was like, where the hell did she get that bruise from? And she was asking her, are you self-inflicting pain upon yourself? Like, because she was in this cycle for so long, how she's like inflicting pain upon herself to kind of to try to feel something, to feel what she had when Perry was around. And then also too, like how she uses that to remember him. And we see when the kids are looking at the memory book that she made, like with Mary Louise, and we see like these good moments where he's playing with the kids, he's being a good father, and you know, then we see her masturbating to a video of him that he sends to her, how she's really having a hard time of letting go, how Perry was her addiction, and how even in his death, he still has a hold on her, and just experiencing like, you know, how she can only think about the good, how she refuses to think about the bad, or the fact that he's almost killed her countless times. You know, it's nice that they're continuing to explore just her feelings that she is having as she's kind of reenacting everything that has happened or played over the course of their relationship. And I want to see more of that with her therapist as well. But overall for the episode, like how I felt about this episode, I was like, you know, it wasn't last week. Like last week's episode was very good. But this week's episode, it was okay. They're kind of setting some things up for what's going to happen with Madeline and Ed, and I hope we get to learn a little bit more about Bonnie. But Mary Louise, who's still snooping, who's still trying to figure out what happened to her son and how she's dealing with the denial of accepting who her son really is, the acts that he's committed. It's just interesting to see how all of this is going to play out. But I love Renata. Renata keeps getting better every week after week after week. I know Madeline going through some things, so we didn't get to see some of the shade that she has, and we didn't really get to see any her and Mary Louise interactions with the shadiness. But I can't wait till we get to this ice cream when she throw the ice cream at her. But overall, this is a decent episode. Not my favorite. If I had to stack rank, I would say episode 2 is number 1, and then the premiere episode of season 2 is number 2, and then this is number 3, episode 3, because we're only on 3 episodes. But those are my quick thoughts on Big Little Lies. As always, my name is Sharana from Pay or Wait. And if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. I'll see you soon.